Jesus, speaking to his disciples about the signs of his coming and the end of the age, declares this in Matthew 24:12. And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. The Bible tells us lawlessness is the violation of God's commandments, as we read in 1 John 3:4. Whoever commits sin also commits lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness. Sin will be so rampant and so commonplace in the last days that the love people once had for one another, for many, will be non-existent. In this prophecy, Jesus Christ is describing an ongoing breakdown in the relationship with God. And since people's love for God is waning, it will be evident in the way people treat one another as well. A symptom may be that the love toward other people is decreasing, but the real cause is that the relationship with God is cooling off. This is what we are witnessing in our world today.
This morning, the search for answers after a violent and deadly holiday weekend in Chicago. At least 100 people were shot, with 3 mass shootings reported. In all, 17 people were killed. Among them, Capri Edwards and her aunt Nikisha Strong killed when police say armed men targeted Strong's home on the south side.
It appears that this started from some type of personal dispute.
Police say Edwards died protecting her 1-year-old son. 2 of her other kids were shot. Strong's son was also killed.
I would never in my life in a million years would think that I would see my mom laying down the way she was.
This year, even worse than last July 4th, which saw 73 people shot and 11 lives lost. Locals say gangs are to blame, but they aren't the same as they used to be. Now they're running in smaller, more violent groups. One local neighborhood watch member saying a gang can be a block of people who don't like another block of people, adding that taunts on social media often lead to attacks.
5 people are dead after a mass shooting in northern Kentucky. Police were called to a home in the city of Florence early this morning. They found 4 people dead and 3 others wounded. The suspect fled, setting off a police chase before crashing into a ditch. He died there of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
A pop-up party in Fairmount Park turned deadly last night as a mass shooting erupts, leaving a teenage girl dead.
When you see a pack of people like that, you know something gonna happen. And then I seen them all fighting like it was a riot. They just all start fighting each other right here on this corner.
Janiyah Worthy took this video of fighting that started Friday night in the Strawberry Mansion section of the city and said she was terrified for her and her 5-year-old son.
And then after that, the little boy ran down. Then he ran back. They jumped him and his little sister. His little sister had to be like 7. I was like, are y'all serious? And I really wanted to interfere, but it's just me, myself, 30 kids out here jumping this one little boy. I was like, wow.
That's when officers say they found 2 people shot in the park and took them to Temple University Hospital. A 17-year-old young woman shot in the chest was pronounced dead at the hospital, and an 18-year-old woman shot in the leg was in stable condition. 2 15-year-old boys, both shot in the leg, arrived at the hospital by car and are in stable condition. A 5th victim, a 14-year-old boy, was shot in the stomach and is in stable condition.
I was almost scared myself because, you know, nowadays these teenagers is wild and they don't care who you is. They want to beat you up, take your stuff.
Can you feel it? Can you sense it? Something is changing in our world. 2 Timothy 3:1-5. But know this, that in the last days perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power, and from such people turn away. One of the many signs that we are living in the last days is that men would be lovers of themselves, as we read in 2 Timothy 3:1-5. Every characteristic listed after men would be lovers of themselves illustrates what men do when they love themselves above God. When you jump down to verse 13, the Bible states, "But evil men and impostors will grow worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived." It is very evident that evil is getting worse and deception is off the charts. Godlessness is now taking over all aspects of society.
A birthday party turns into a horrific crime scene. 4 people killed, and 3 others injured after a cold-blooded shooting in Boone County. We also now know the shooter is dead after turning the gun on himself. Tonight, a community is numb as police work to make some sense out of the senseless.
Officers found 7 people with gunshot wounds, including 2 people outside the home. 4 were found dead at the scene.
Police say after killing 4 people and injuring 3 others, Garvey took off, leading them on a chase before ultimately turning the gun on himself. Police saying that Garvey died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now take a look at this video here shared with us by a neighbor. You can see Garvey looking around people's yards just minutes before the shooting happens. Neighbors tell me this is a quiet, tight-knit neighborhood. This tragedy coming as a shock. Lots of heartbreak here tonight. I'm told so many in the area were close with one of the victims, Melissa Perrette, who was hosting the party. A father and daughter who live next door tell me they'd been at that party earlier in the night before this all unfolded.
We're just lucky we were safe in a sense, but it doesn't make it any better. This is affecting the whole neighborhood, losing our great neighbor, you know.
Michelle is just a beautiful woman, beautiful heart.
And this morning's mass shooting is one of at least 261 mass shootings across the country so far this year.
This morning's mass shooting in the Greater Grand Crossing neighborhood that left 2 women dead and 3 kids critically injured was one of at least 236 shootings across the country in just the last 72 hours. That's according to the Gun Violence Archive, a data collecting nonprofit, which has also found that 4th of July week shootings are on the rise. There have been over 80 total mass shootings nationwide over the past 3 years between July 1st and July 7th. The Gun Violence Archive says there were 72 U.S. mass shootings in the month of June, bringing 2024's total to 261. Prior to 2020, they'd never logged a month with more than 60 mass shootings. Since then, it's happened 22 times.
One of the many signs that we are living in the end times is the epidemic of wickedness and violence that is sweeping the world today. Jesus tells us when society parallels the days of Noah, he will return, as we read in Matthew 24:37 through 39. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will the coming of the Son of Man be.
So keep your head up.